This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning to all the kids out there that's currently tuned in, and also the adults having a look. We're here at Ambient Ngala. I'm going to be the guide this morning, so I'm Nikki, and with me with the camera is Marcel. So as we were driving this morning, we were trying to see if we can find any lions, and we went and we stopped and we tried to listen to hear if we can hear them calling. And as we were driving past this one tree, we thought it might have been something up in the tree, possibly something like a leopard. But then as we got closer, we saw it was this owl. Now, it's a pretty big owl, but I want you to try and look at the eyes. You'll notice just above the eyes, it looks like these pink eyelids. Now, it's called a Varro's eagle owl, or the old name was a giant eagle owl, but it's quite a big bird. This one, I think it might be a female, judging by the size. Now, the females are slightly bigger than the males. But you can see, just using that branch as a bit of a vantage point, earlier on, it was constantly scanning on the ground to see if there were possibly any mice or any movement, because what they do is they're very opportunistic. So if they do see mice in the daytime, squirrels, possibly vervet monkeys, they can go for them. But for now, I think this owl is probably just having a look around to see what's going to be there. And I think with this tree, if not disturbed for too long, probably might settle here. Or don't know if this owl might even have a nest and eventually go back to the nest. But look at the size of those talons that are just grabbing onto that branch. It is such a big owl. And you even notice along the eyes, like some of the key characteristics of. And yeah, I do agree, it does look like a bit of a grumpy owl, especially if you look, look at him just looking around. So normally when I try to do that with my neck, it doesn't really work that well. But I do agree, like, it does have quite a few interesting facial features, especially that black around the eyes, or on the side of the face, and then of course those pink eyelids. Just have a look. Sophie 8 from Singapore, you asked a very good question. What do these owls eat? Now, these owls would probably eat anything slightly smaller than them, or almost their size and smaller. Now, there are records of them taking little warthog piglets. Another owl called the Pel's fishing owl that's slightly smaller than this one. Other birds of prey, but also any rodents, basically just everything that they can get their size and smaller is what they're capable of hunting. You can see there was some movement. I just heard a bit of rustling in the grass behind the owl. And you can see how that owl just quickly turned back to have a look. But I think what we'll do is we'll probably carry on with our drive this morning. But in the meanwhile, let's head across to James and hear if he has an update. I heard this morning they were looking out for leopard.
Good morning and welcome to this part of the sunrise safari where the sun has not yet risen but is soon to rise out of that gingering sky there. We just stopped and having a listen because there was a great deal of activity on the Djuma Dam Cam last night. Buffalo came down, elephants were shouting, hippos were fighting, leopards were sawing, lions were apparently going ho, ho, calling at each other. But as so often is the case when there's so much action at the dam cam, there doesn't seem to be a great deal going on as soon as you get up. My name is James Henry. I'm very cold this morning, and Owen is on camera. There's his thumb. His thumb is also quite cold this morning. I think it's probably about 15 degrees today, which is roughly 58 Fahrenheit, which for us is freezing. It's not very freezing at all, of course. You can talk to us using the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear from you. For the first 45 minutes for the kids, and after that for everybody. So we'll drive around the immediate vicinity of the camp for a little while, see if we can come up with anything here, and then go a bit further afield. Hello Nat, who's 7 in the United Kingdom. You know, I actually do like getting up early in the morning, and the only reason I can do it is because I go to bed very early. So when I was a guide and I had guests, I used to find it really difficult because I had to go to bed late with them, often sort of 10 or 11 o'clock, and then get up again at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I found that very difficult. But now, we go to bed quite early, and so I just love getting up early because it's the best time of the day. It's the most beautiful time of the day. And if you're 7 and you're in the United Kingdom, it must be an hour earlier than it is here, which means it must be 5 in the morning there. Whew, you are an early riser. Good for you. How do you manage to get up so early? Right, I can't hear any signs of anything right now except a couple of grey-headed sparrows going chirrup, chirrup as they wake up. So I think we'll press on down through here and see what else there is on offer. Lauren is roughly over there. She's also searching around this immediate vicinity. Let's go and find out if she's heard anything.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome on board, everyone. It is great to have you here. From all around the world, I believe we have such a diverse list of countries. So, my name is Lauren. I do have Davi on camera. And interestingly enough, Davi and I heard the most bizarre thing on the dam cam last night. We were working in FC, and the dam cam's always in the background, always playing. 24 hours. And about 8 o'clock, was that right, Davi? Yeah, 8 o'clock, which isn't that late, but it's actually quite late to us. We heard what can only be described as something being taken down. The elephants were having a massive tantrum, so there was huge sort of chaos in the world of elephants, and then once that got quieter, we could hear something being killed. And I can only describe it as a buffalo, but not. So we're wondering whether it was maybe a young buffalo that got caught by something, and we heard the whole thing from start to finish. So I just wanted to come down here and try and see if I can piece it together. I'm not sure that's going to be possible. So once I have a quick scratch around here, we are going to head south today, down to Chitwa, I think. It's been a few days since I've been properly down south, and see what we can find down there. But the noise last night, I'm not sure if any of you heard it. It was quite unbelievable. So I just wanted to see if we can see anything. But this was about 8 o'clock. I believe there was a lot of action later on. Just turn my game drive radio down. So it's worth checking, but what I find difficult about the dam cam is you're there. The zoomy obviously couldn't see anything, which is completely understandable. You can hear the noise so clearly, so loud. We had volume up full, but you can't really decipher where exactly that sound is coming from, and that's what I find quite challenging. So it's worth scratching around, and then we will continue to bumble on south. On this extremely chilly morning, I fear I may have to put my scarf on soon. Oh, I almost hit that ginormous log. There we go. Now, this is a new pan at Tumbeta, and this is where Tlalamba came the other night. And I've seen a few tracks come in here now. So once the animals start to learn that this is a permanent pan, a permanent water source, it will be incorporated into their seasonal movements. But of course, because it's new right now, the animals may not, of course, realize that it's there. It will take time. It will be a learning process. Okay, I'm going to finish scratching around here, see if I can see anything. And as I do that, we are going to send you back across to Nikki driving in the riverbed.
It is such a beautiful morning,
as we're driving up, you can just see a bit of the rays of the sun coming up. But what we're thinking for this morning is, so yesterday there was a young male leopard that was seen in this area. As well as I also know that yesterday Marcel and Sean saw that female cheetah. So we are going to go past the area and see if there's any signs of them. But as we go along, we might just switch off the vehicle and we'll listen out to hear also if there's any signs of lions around. We haven't heard anything this morning. There was a few times where we just stopped and tried to listen out. But you just never know. And I'm also keen to see when the pride is going to move back into the area, especially the one with the white cubs. So that's why I'm also excited for. But early part still, we're going to carry on with this road. So this is the one where, close to where that male leopard was seen yesterday morning. Now he might have moved, we don't know. He was pretty hungry, he was trying to look for opportunity to hunt. However, he wasn't successful. So what we need to do now is slowly carry on with this road. We'll see if there's any tracks or signs of this leopard. Also, there's quite a few big trees around. And maybe see if he could have hoisted anything up in the tree. You just never know. Especially, and that's what makes it so beautiful whenever you do a drive, because every single day is basically a new day. So when you're on Nuska, you were asking a really good question. How many leopards are there on Ngala? Now, to be completely honest, like, I don't think we'll be able to know for sure at any given time, because they do move freely between the areas. So I would say there is a possibility, judging by the size of the area, that there could be possibly anywhere from 16 to 20 leopards across the whole reserve at any given point in time. Could be slightly more, it could be less. But sometimes these males can have a territory that's so big that it goes beyond Ngala and beyond Ngala, and then they only come back. So the territory might be quite big, and in some areas you might find that like in a corner of the reserve, there might be a few territories that overlap. So you might have a few more individuals that come in there. But I would definitely say that that will probably be an estimate that I would give. Now, the other thing we're also listening out for is, so there's quite a few crested francolins, so a few of the birds that are out this morning. Now, if we drive and we suddenly hear the francolins going crazy and there's a lot of noise coming out of the bush, we know it must have been a predator that disturbed them. It's not always the case. Sometimes they could get a fright, they could be flushed by something else, but it's a good opportunity for us just to listen out, maybe switch off the vehicle and focus our attention in that area, and hopefully we'll be rewarded with something. But while we do that, while we're searching for leopard here, let's head across to James and hear if he has an update for us on a leopard.
I don't have an update at this stage, but I am searching hard. I've got tracks of the buffalo herd going up and down on this road, but where they went, I don't know. We're just going to follow around here quickly-ish. Now, there was talk of things being murdered last night by lions, but I can see no lion track. So what we'll do is we'll just speed around this way. Adele, you're 6 in Singapore and wondering how on earth anyone in this world can navigate without a GPS. Well, Adele, what you'll find, here's the male leopard track. What you'll find, Adele, is that quickly go around on this guy's tracks. What you'll find is that you just get used to an area, and you'll start to see, as you drive around Singapore, you don't need a GPS to get to the shops, I'm assuming. I'm assuming that you could probably find your way to the shops without a GPS. And it's just the same as here. We are able to find our way around because we've been in the area for a long time, and so we know what it's like. And so we don't need signs and we don't need GPSs.
That's your mark. Your mark.
What about it? There's nothing I can do, guys. I'm sorry. There really is nothing I can do. Okay. So I think that this leopard track is on top of the buffalo tracks. And I think he came up here. Let's see if he's not lurking over the side of the damn wall. Lauren, that's actually quite a good question you've asked there. How does the water stay in the water holes? Alright, we'll stop here and just have a look at our grebes while I answer Lauren's question. Lauren, two ways. There's the little baby. You see him there? Owen, you got him? So Lauren, you'll find that on the base of these sort of rivery areas, the soil is full of clay, and clay holds water. It stops water from sinking into the ground. Look at our little grebes, they're so cold. And so that's one way that the water stays. And then there's a great big wall that we're sitting on here, and that wall stops the water flowing down the river. And that's what a dam is, basically. And so that's how the water stays in this waterhole. Some of the smaller waterholes, it's just the clay. So Owen was just showing you the dam wall then. Still can't hear anything by way of lion or leopard. Yes, Sophia and Samuel, we have actually seen hyenas eating fish. Sometime about 2 years ago, these waterholes all dried out, and in one of the big waterholes there were fish, and these fish no longer had anywhere to live, and the hyenas ate a lot of them because they died outside on the side of the water just as you've asked. So yes, a hyena would definitely eat a fish. Just quickly, if you wouldn't mind, Owen, cast the camera onto the dam cam there. I know that for some of you it might be a bit confusing, but there's a camera there on that tree, and there's a very sensitive microphone next to it. That's the thing underneath it. And when people say they hear a leopard sawing, or lions contact calling, or buffalo being murdered, or whatever it is, that's how they're doing it. And you can find that, I actually don't know the website, but if you type in Djuma Dam Cam live feed or whatever it is, you'll find it. And it's operated remotely throughout the world by people we call Zoomies. And they very kindly donate of their time to zoom into and out of the bush and try and find things for us. And they find a large number of things. Anyway, it's on the dam cam that we heard the leopard sawing. And the buffalo apparently being killed. So now you're looking at the dam cam and you're looking at me. I'll wave at you. And that's the view of the dam cam. And you can see the mist rising off the dam. You might also see one of the parent grebes out foraging, skidding across the water. Kirsten trying to be very funny. She says she could see a leopard behind me. That's really a cruel joke.
See if we can see them inside.
Kirsten, that was a really cruel joke. I'm still looking to see if there's a leopard behind us. Tanya and Wendrilla, the grebes swim through the water. I don't think they're so much fly as they swim through it. I don't know what they look like under the water, but I guess they'll do it like sort of like a stingray, but not really. They basically just will fly underwater. I don't know how else to put it. They'll kick their legs, and I think they use their wings as well to fly, like a sort of breaststroke, but under the water.
I don't see the other grebe.
No, he's foraging in amongst the mist there. I saw him moving. So 2 chicks and 2 adults. Could easily be a leopard around here somewhere. Alright, I think we'll move on. That's a very beautiful bird, isn't it? I don't know how they go for a swim when it's so cold in the morning, but there it is. And look at the foot. It's quite interesting, that foot that you can see there. It doesn't look like a duck's foot at all, does it? And when you look at a bird like this, you think, oh, it's like a duck because it swims in the water. But you look at its beak, and that's nothing like a duck's beak. And if you look at its feet, they really don't look like duck feet either. All right, let's go back across to Lauren. We'll try and find where these leopard tracks went. I may just quickly check where the buffalo went first, though.
Ah, good luck with your tracking, James. We are just admiring the sunrise. Let's just take a moment to admire this beauty. And that, ladies and gentlemen, the sun is up. I got completely entranced here. Mesmerizing. Oh, Chris Rogue, you could hear grand hornbills. I wonder what direction they're coming from. I can hear the Cape Turtle Dove or the ringneck dove. Someone asked me about that the other day. Both names are applicable. Normally it stems from different areas. As long as the Latin name is the same of a species, sometimes the common names get, well, changed a little depending on where you are in the country. You can hear the Franklins. Where did you think the ground hornbills were coming from, Dobby? Up ahead. Oh, thank you, Chris Rogue. I'm not entirely sure we'll be able to find them, but Dobby thinks it's in this direction, so we shall try. Ooh, who is this? I wonder if this is a tawny from last night. I think it is, everyone. Yes, it is. It's in the exact same place as last night. Owen and I had this tawny, a mixed morph, or a middle morph, or a medium morph. And off he goes. Oh, it's so lovely to see that tawny eagle again. Okay, we are bumbling south now. We had a little scratch around. It's always worth it, but we really, really are heading south now. And of course, if I see the ground hornbills along the way, we of course will stop for them. Stacey, you're 8 years old in Singapore and you are asking how do the animals stay warm? Oh, well, depends what animal you are. So when winter comes, a lot of animals such as reptiles and frogs, they will bury away. Snakes, for example, they will go through a period of brumation, which means that it's too cold for them to survive in winter. So they'll go into a burrow and they'll still be alive. It's just like hibernation, but we use the word hibernation for mammals. So for snakes, they go into a burrow and just keep warm. They'll lower their their internal processes, and they'll wait until it gets warm enough so they can come back out again. But if you're a mammal, you're already covered in hair. If you're a bird, you're already covered in feathers. So there's warmth in that. And of course, a lot of mammals huddle together like your impala. You'll actually see them in tight little herds trying to get warmth from one another. But it is cold, and I am cold, so I can only imagine it's not easy. Mammals can also get goosebumps like us, goose pimples, shivery pops, whichever one you want to call it. And this helps. It means the hair stands on end, and this creates a warm little flow of air around the body. It also helps them keep warm. And just like us, when it's cold, keep moving, keep those muscles warm, and it helps keep your internal temperature warm. So it really does depend what type of animal you are. But for mammals and birds, I think they've got it the luckiest because they're covered in hair and they're covered in feathers. Okay, I'll always just have a look at every single direction when I'm going past the junction. You never know what you might be missing. And the key out here is always to look behind you. Tanya and Andrilla, what a question. Do the sunrise and sunset colours change due to the weather? Sorry, I just saw a track there. No, I don't think they change, but we as humans possibly view it or perceive it a little bit differently, because on the clearer days, like today, there's not a cloud in the sky. I cannot see a single cloud. It's so clear and crisp, and that makes the colours appear very, very vibrant. You can even look, it's still glorious over there. Davy, I'll give you another view. Whereas if it's a gloomy, overcast, very grey day, then you're not going to see these gorgeous colours, and it's probably not going to look as vibrant or as beautiful. So the colours themselves don't change, but most likely the weather itself will cause us to see it slightly different. The sun will always rise and the sun will always set. But this morning, I have to say, Tanya and Andrilla, it's particularly magnificent. I'm sure you'll agree. I always say this, but there's no sunrise or sunset like an African one. It's the best sunsets I've ever seen in my entire life out here, and in the Masai Mara. Especially when the landscape goes on forever. It's gorgeous. It's like an artist. It's got a palette of warm colors in front of him, and he's just painting the sky. Okay, I'm trying to drive fast, but the faster I go, the chillier it gets, so I'm going to stay with slow. And as I bumble on forward, we're going to send you guys back across to Nicky and see exactly what he's up to now.
So we found some tracks of what looks like a leopard with some youngsters. The tracks are going in this direction, but there's also a few that are coming back. So what we're trying to do is just establish the direction. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to go into the river, see if there's some more tracks, either coming this way or heading in that direction. Now, just to show everyone what we are looking out for, I just want to quickly see where I put... Oh, here's my little guide here. I just want to quickly go back to the tracks. So if I can just show you the tracks right over here. So there are some hyena tracks around as well. So often with the hyenas, it looks like these two pads on the side here has the almost like a kidney shape, where with the leopard have the 3 lobes down at the bottom and very perfectly rounded 4 toes. So if you had to take your fingers like this and you had to push it on the sand, that's what we're looking out for. Now there is at least one of the tracks coming down, but as I said, there's a few tracks around, so hopefully we can find this leopard with the youngsters. So we're going to carry on into the riverbed, see if there's some more tracks. If they go that way, if not, we know we have to come back and we'll start searching this direction. Now, we've had a few discussions about it previously, about how, whenever we track animals, like how do we do it. So basically it's like a puzzle. So what we have to do is we'll try and look out for the outside of the puzzle. Marley, 14 from the USA, you asked him a very good question in regards to... Oh, I just want to quickly have a look. There's some more leopard tracks. Let me just... Marcel, I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but if I move like this, especially with the sunlight on them, it's quite nice. Yeah, you see just off to the right there, there's quite a few tracks. So this is what we're looking out for. So let's see if we can be able to see it from there. But you'll see there's a few prints on the ground. See there? At the back looks like a pad, looks like a few toes. I know it's hard to point out. Now, I don't want to get down, because if the leopard is around, I don't want to give her a fright, especially with the youngsters. So what we're going to do is we'll carry on. There is a bit of scuffling there as well, so it might have been the youngsters laying down. But let's carry on and see if there's any sign. But just to get back to that question, so with the leopard, they can go for something like a buffalo, but it would probably be a buffalo calf. Or quite a youngish buffalo, but not a fully grown buffalo. It's just that they won't be able to pull it down. However, a big male leopard would be able to take down quite a decent sized buffalo calf. So the leopard tracks are still carrying on here. And it does look like they might be heading down in this direction. So we're going to slowly carry on with the riverbed. See if there's any signs. So I'm just carefully scanning. So what I'm trying to look out for, it's the early part of the morning, so you might even find them laying in the sand within the riverbed. They might have crossed over. There's water not too far away from here, or eventually they'll go and lay down in the sun. So we'll do a loop like this, see if we can see more tracks and where they cross the river, if they have crossed the river, and then we'll carry on with our search from there. But how beautiful is this riverbed in the morning? So imagine now later on, as the sun comes up here on our left, this whole area would have this golden color. Zach 6 Mara 11, you asked a very good question in regards to how many prides of lions does Ngala have. Now, at any given point in time, there could be a pride on the reserve. So normally, on average, we could have possibly 4 prides, but what we've been seeing recently is mainly 2 prides that have moved into on the reserve quite often, and that is the Birmingham pride, so the pride with the white lines. And then yesterday, remember, Sean had a carcass down in the southern part of the reserve, which is basically I won't stop for too long, so we can carry on with our search, but I just wanted to point out here, so just right over here on this side, there was also a pride seen yesterday the day before yesterday, but then during the evening they would have moved off, and the Burning of Pride was seen up in this section here last time, and I think they might have moved off the property. But there could be, at any given point in time, there could be 4 prides on the reserve, but normally I would think at the moment there'll probably be 1 pride somewhere, and it'd be in an area where we just haven't checked over the last few days. So I've asked Marcel to, he doesn't drink any coffee, but he does have enjoy quite a nice hot chocolate. That's his favorite little treat. Is it not your favorite? What's your favorite? He says he enjoys the South African tea called the rooibos tea, which is a really nice sweet tea. And I said to him, I'll give him a nice cup of tea, or it was actually hot chocolate, if he spots these leopards. So I haven't seen him looking around like he's doing now, so I'm sure he's quite desperate for one. So as I'm saying, we're just slowly carrying on the river, because the last thing we want to do is when we track a leopard, we have this saying that says slow tracking finds animals faster. As soon as you try and push to get to an area too quickly, you might miss out very essential tracks that could save you hours in finding this leopard. So it's a mother with 2 youngsters. So I'm sure they wouldn't have moved too far during the evening, but eventually they'll go and settle somewhere, and that's where we're hoping to find them this morning. But for now, while we're searching, let's head across to James, who's also searching out for leopard.
There is a rattling cisticola. A rattling cisticola. Not a buffalo, not a lion, not a leopard, but a rattling cisticola. I've tracked the buffalo herd out of Djuma, back into the reserve north of us, which is called Buffel's Hook. So the buffalo are no longer on Djuma. I can't find any sign of a lion pride that may have perpetrated a crime. And I suspect, and I might be wrong here, that the noise of what supposedly a of buffalo being killed in the night is actually the 2 hippo bulls that we've had in the dam fighting. Now, many people will now be clutching at their hearts, saying, how could you accuse me of making such a mistake? But in actual fact, unless you have watched 2 hippos fight and heard them make the sound, it sounds nigh on identical to a buffalo being killed the first time, or second, or third, or fourth, or fifth time you hear it. Because I can find no sign of a lion pride here. But I'll keep looking. Clementine in Johannesburg, you've asked a really good question, and it's a great question for me now because I've just been doing some reading on it, because a number of youngsters who are cleverer than me have asked the same kind of question. How can a bird lay an egg if it's not a reptile? Turns out it is a reptile. So, yes, that's what I said, it is a reptile. Birds and the reptiles that we see around us at the moment come from a very similar lineage. Now, lizards and snakes, which are the reptiles we know of, there's your Milber finch quickly on the ground there. Just, it's in those little trees. See if you can find it there on that fallen,
Yes.
yeah, green-winged Pytilia. There's a waxbill. I'm just going to let Owen search in there. There it is. There's the female. She's just gone up. Just keep searching around there. So, Clementine, lizards and snakes that we see around here at the moment are not very closely related to birds, but they all come from the same kind of lineage, and they are more closely related to dinosaurs. In fact, a bird is a dinosaur for all intents intents and purposes, and we know, of course, that dinosaurs are reptiles, don't we? But they're just very distantly related to what we would know as reptiles now. It's quite good. Up, 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 up. There, you got him.
Ha. 2 seconds. He's still there.
That's the green-winged Pytilia, a dinosaur. So that's a little bit confusing, Clementine, but basically you've made a great connection there. You've connected the fact that birds and reptiles must be related because they both have a similar strategy. They both lay eggs, and they're similar kind of eggs. And so you very cleverly put together the fact that they must be related, and they are. You're absolutely correct.
You see him again.
No, I can't see him again. He's in there. Now that's Owen's favourite bird, everyone. It is a green-winged Pytilia.
At my age, it's a Melba finch.
And if you Owen's age, its old name is the Melba finch, which is a much nicer name than a green-winged Pytilia. Good. So for those of you who are perhaps now also confused like I am, well, a little bit of reading probably not a bad idea, like I did the other day, just on the phylogeny of birds, reptiles and dinosaurs. I found it absolutely fascinating. Right, Lauren's made her way down to Chitwa, and mercifully those leopards are still in place.
Well, we have one. I can only see one spotted cow. A tired cat, I believe. This is a male cub who doesn't have a name yet, and the carcass looks very, very empty to me. Davi said it had a lot of meat on it yesterday, but it looks very, very empty to me now. I don't know if we can give you a good view, but that is it. So this is the boy cub of Sabui that James found yesterday. There's two. There's a boy and a girl, but we haven't actually properly checked the area yet. So Sabui and female cub could possibly be not too far away. We will check in just a moment. I don't know how long this boy is going to stay here for. So I think it's just worth watching him for a little while. And then we'll go look for the others. Hello, you. You're my first proper leopard cub. Oh, he's gorgeous. Shall I roll forward, Davi? Not yet. Okay. He looks very puzzled. I'll explain a little bit more about Sabui in a while. Manan, you're 15 from India. Welcome on board. I don't know. I'm afraid I couldn't answer that question conclusively. But I would imagine so, yes. I would imagine they know exactly what they're eating. Flesh will taste like flesh. I know that doesn't sound so pleasant. Of course, they're carnivores. But I would imagine, I would guess, an educated guess, that they would be able to differentiate what they're eating. But I could be wrong. Leopards' taste buds will be different from ours. And of course, they're hyper-carnivores. And what that means is that their diet consists of 70% meat. Or more than 70%, but not less. So I don't know. I'm afraid it's very difficult to tell if a leopard can differentiate. Only the leopards will know. Oh, this is so fantastic. A big marula. So 45 minutes is up, I'm afraid. So thank you for all your comments and questions so far, kids. But don't go anywhere. We're going to open the show up to everyone now. Adults included. So we'll take questions from everybody, but kids still keep asking. And of course, we will do our very best to try and answer your questions. It's been a very long time since I've seen Sabui. I've actually only really seen her properly once. She was my character for my field exam. To become a field guide, you go through quite a lot of work, theory studies, and a practical exam. And Sabui was my lucky leopard for that exam. I'll never forget that. But we don't get to see her too often, and I do feel that she's shifted territories a little bit because she's got cubs now. Her movements have slightly changed. She used to appear on Djuma quite a bit, but she doesn't really pop in anymore. She's sort of shifted her territory a little bit further down south. I wonder where Sabui is. Mother and daughter were also here yesterday, so they could just be cuddling somewhere nearby in the thicket. Trust a boy to still be eating. He's so small, especially when you're used to seeing the likes of Hukamuri and Tingana. It's a very petite little cub. I believe he has gorgeous blue eyes as well. Blue-eyed boy. Sorry everyone, I'm just blowing my nose. That impala must be very delicious. Oh, we're going to move it. Basking in the golden light. It's now, well, it's not warm, but it's getting warmer. Slowly but surely we shall feel the warmth from the sunlight. Hopefully Sabui returns. I would just love to see her again. I once watched Sabui and Tandy have a fight. Their territorial boundaries were clashing right next to one another. And they were obviously both on patrol at the same time along Gowrie Main. And they had a fight. And it wasn't physical, it was more a sort of standoff. And I was able to witness that. That was only the second time I've ever seen Sabui. Oh, is Kirsten talking to Abby?
She was, yeah.
Oh, Kirsten, I believe you were talking. I had no comms. Oh, dearie me. Can you talk for me one more time? Okay. I hear you now. I don't know why I didn't hear you earlier. Sorry, what were you saying? Erin, this leopard is in a marula, one of my favourite trees. Probably the most common tree, actually. You can tell. Well, I always think everyone comes up with something different, but I think it looks like someone has taken an ice cream scooper and scooped out the bark, and it leaves a sort of, well, looks like being hollowed out by something, and that's how I always identify a marula. But really, they are the perfect leopard trees. They really are. They've got big, thick trunks, thick branches, very stable. And normally they have sort of great big forks in the middle, and the branches are relatively flat, which makes it just perfect if you're a leopard and you can just perch your bottom on these branches. I always think they look rather comfortable. If you're a leopard, of course. I'm not sure I could lie there so gracefully. But yes, this is a marula tree. And during summer, they drop gorgeous fruit. He's listening to something. I wonder if someone's nearby. He's very pale. I'm just scanning around, sorry. I feel like he can hear and see something, and I'm just wondering if it's maybe his mother or his sister. I can't see anything though. Karen, you're asking about leopard stomachs and do they digest fur? No, generally speaking, they don't. I imagine they would pass through a little bit fur in their feces, but normally you can see it. So when you look at leopard scat, you can see hair very visibly. And sometimes I have seen leopards cough up, but it's not the same as domestic cats that cough up fur balls. So they have special tongue, very, very specialized tongue that's designed for licking their prey and removing hair. They're quite meticulous when it comes to eating, and I think they're quite fussy leopards when it comes to what they eat. So they normally avoid eating the skin, but of course they will accidentally swallow some, and you can see it in their scat, which means that it passes right through and it's not digested. If it was digested, then you wouldn't be able to see it at the other end. A hairy poo is not the most pleasant thing to come across. But leopards sometimes can be very hairy. Whereas if you compare that with hyenas, hyena's stomach acid is one of the strongest in the animal kingdom. And it's so low on the pH scale, it's so acidic that it does blast and digest everything. And it's another reason that hyenas are said to not suffer from viruses or diseases, because their stomach acid is so strong. But you can see here, the skin has been completely left behind. It almost looks like a rug. It's not very pleasant to look at. But they don't eat the skin. They break it open and they eat what's inside. But they'll just lick the hair before they eat. Oh, yummy. I really hope we get to see the female as well. I imagine she'll be somewhere. But a few of you are wondering how old the cubs are. They're 9 months old. They were born in August, so they're not even a year yet. And normally it's around the year mark that cubs will get names. There's a tendency out here not to name them before the year mark because so much can go wrong and there's such a high mortality rate that it's best not to name them. So they wait till the year mark and then hopefully they'll both get beautiful names. Oh, this is such a fantastic morning. I am very happy to meet a new leopard. And as I sit here and enjoy, we are going to send you guys back across to Nicky for an update on his search.
So we've had a look at the last tracks in the riverbed from these leopards, but also what we've noticed is there's some lioness tracks around. So I don't know if that mum might have changed direction. We've just gone on this side of the river, so on the eastern side, we were on the western side. So we come across this side to see if there's any tracks, and I think with the tracks of a lioness in the riverbed, that mother leopard with her youngsters, she would have probably realized maybe it is not too great of an idea, especially if there's other tracks around. So she probably took those youngsters and headed in the opposite direction because we didn't see any further tracks or signs. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to head back to the last tracks we had and maybe do a wider loop around and go and see on the other side of the river, maybe see if that female or that mother leopard decide, okay, let's carry on, we'll head in this direction, and then see if we can get some more tracks. Now often with lions and leopards, whenever there's lions in the area, a leopard will try and avoid it because, of course, with the mother and youngsters, she's going to try absolute best to make sure she protects those youngsters against any possible danger. And there's quite a few tracks. There's also the last area, those two big males we've seen, those Ross males, were not too far away from here. Now, we haven't seen them in the last, I think, 2 days. Jason86, you asked a very good question. How much do we rely on tracking to find animals? I would probably say 80% of the time when we find animals is when we have to track them. So we do rely on other rangers as well to help us. So now at the moment, as we speak, Rowan and Sean are currently tracking that pride of lions. So remember the lions we said with the two white youngsters, the Birmingham pride? So they're currently tracking them to see if there's any further signs. Because often, I mean, if you just had to drive and you don't track, the chances are if an animal is not laying next to the road that you might be driving on, you might not be able to see them. However, if you are able to follow the tracks off, you might find that the lions were in an open area, they moved into a denser area, probably made a kill there, and you can't see it from where you are. So you need to physically be able to track them in order to find them. So 80% of the time of actually the animals we find here at Ambion and Ngala is because of tracking. And it is a very, it is a skill that's almost like started to eventually fade away. And there's still a few trackers and rangers that have that ability all across Africa, and I know other parts. I know in Australia there's also quite a few good trackers with the Aboriginals, but that's what we're mainly going to have to rely on, especially this morning with the leopard, because you can imagine if this mother has seen the lioness or maybe the tracks, she smelt the tracks and she moved off, the chances are she's going to take those youngsters into a dense area. So if soon as there's any danger, there'll have to be a big tree where she can either hide away, like the youngsters away, or take them up into a tree high enough where a lion won't be able to get to. So for now, again, we're back at the river. We're slowly going to crow across, and as I said, we're going to start searching on the opposite side. Just hold on. But tracking is also, like, just to add on to it, it's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And I'll tell you why. Because once you start tracking initially, what I'll do is once you get back, I'll tell you a little bit more about that story. But for now, I heard James found some buffalo. Let's go have a look.
So, we had tracks of a herd crossing out of Djuma. And then we've come into the block here because there's a little group of buffalo lying down here, and perhaps these were the ones that had the most recent drink at the dam camp. Anyway, it's lovely to see them. Little group, probably of about 20 or 30. And I think there were reports that the group that drank most recently at the dam were about 40 odd, so it's probably this group. They do this quite a lot in the winter. They'll come and settle like this until relatively late in the morning before getting up to move again. They'll settle in a nice group where they can use their own body heat. Hi guys, it's lovely to see you. Seen any lions? I don't think you have. Hello Nawaz, you're in Nigeria and wondering why we're in an open vehicle. Nawaz, it's because it's easier for us to film when we're in an open vehicle. If we've got a roof over the vehicle, we can't effectively see because you've got to have pillars and windows and things that get in the way. And so it's much easier just to have no roof on the vehicle. So it just feels nicer, to be out in the open in a convertible, and it's not dangerous, because these animals are used to us, so it's not like they're about to get up and attack us, which is also very good. One doesn't want to be attacked. Does one? No, one doesn't. Steph now saying there were over 100 buffalo at the dam camp last night. I think there were 2 drinkings. As far as I'm aware, there was one more recently at about 4 o'clock this morning, and then one much earlier in the evening. deeply confusing. Anyway, this is where the buffalo are now. They look like there are about 40 of them here. When they drank, I couldn't tell you. Whether they were set upon by lions, I think, is highly unlikely, because I can't find even the track of one cat except the male leopard, who's walked on top of these guys' tracks, which means he came past here pretty recently. And slowly what will happen now on a cold morning is they'll get up and they'll go and they'll do some grazing. They've been doing a lot of cud chewing, you can see. And their activities change over the course of the seasons. So in winter they'll normally lie down like this when it's really cold and huddle together for warmth. And then in summer they become almost nocturnal. They move in the night, eat, and then avoid the heat of the day by being in the shade during the middle of the day. Arlara Moore thinks they look like chihuahuas. Yeah, I don't see it. Not even a little bit. But I'm more than happy to accept that you see it.
These two at the front are looking at each other going, she's talking nonsense.
Right, we'll sit with these chihuahuas for a little bit longer, but then I think we must press on and see if we can find that leopard cat.
I apologise, everyone. This is the female. I'm going to throw you under the bus, Davy. Are you ready? Are you ready to go under that bus? Davy told me it was a boy.
Sorry.
No, really, this is my first time meeting these cubs. I've obviously seen some photos on social media, but this is the first time I am getting the pleasure, and it's actually my second leopard cub. I got a brief visual of Tandy's the other day. James managed to find the den, so it's a very special moment for me, and this is a girl. And when I actually look, the boy does have blue eyes. I saw James' photo yesterday, and it's incredible. Blue-eyed boy. So I apologise, everyone. This is a female. So it's Sabi, the mother, and the little boy that's missing. And I really, really hope I get to see them. I imagine I would. I imagine they'll reunite at some point, but I'm just not sure when. But he's really, there's not much meat left on this carcass at all. Do you have any idea if the impala was male or female, Davy?
It was male.
He thinks it was a male. Kirst said it was a male. Okay, so a male impala. And there's really, not much left. I imagine the three of them would have feasted on this. And I think this youngster here is just chewing on the remains. Lila Grace, you're 8 years old from Durban. What a beautiful name you have. It's gorgeous. No, hyenas can't climb trees, but they really wish they could. You can see it in their faces as hyenas wait patiently at the bottom of trees that they do almost every day. You can just see that they're thinking, when am I going to be able to climb a tree? They haven't evolved to be able to climb trees. And that's the sort of unique specialization of leopards. Now, if all the predators were the same, they wouldn't be able to all survive out here. So they all have unique specializations that allow them to survive, although there is competition among them. So, for example, cheetahs have evolved to be the fastest. They've got speed. They can run faster than any other land mammal. And it's incredible to watch them. Leopards have evolved to be able to climb trees. Like this beautiful girl, not only climb trees, but also hoist kills into trees. And lions, of course, have their social dynamics. They have their cooperative prides and coalitions, which allow them to work together. So not only are they incredibly strong with a lot of muscle behind them, they've also got the numbers. So each predator is different. And hyenas definitely can't climb trees, but they really wish they could. I'd love to see a hyena try to climb a tree. But I'm surprised there's not a hyena in sight. I thought, oh wait, what's this? Is this another leopard?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I wonder who this is. I can't quite see, but up ahead we do have a leopard. Is it the boy? Is it Sabi? I'm not sure yet. Oh, how exciting. I don't know where it is yet. Was there hyenas present yesterday, Davy? No. How interesting. Where are the hyenas? I was out of range for a bit yesterday. Owen and I decided to do a crazy mission for you all to find the Torchwood Pride, and it wasn't quite successful. We failed, but we tried, and we lost comms for a little while. Should we drive ahead, Davy, or should we patiently wait? I'm a big fan of being patient, but I would love to see who's there. I'm wondering if they've just laid down again. I think we should... Oh, I see a head. I see you. Ah, this is the boy for sure. That's not Sabi. Hello, it's so nice to meet you. My name's Lauren. I talk very funny, not like normal people. I'm from a country very far away. Isn't he stunning? Lynn, yes they do. Mothers will eventually take their cubs hunting. And the quicker I don't know which way to turn, I've got leopards everywhere. The quicker the cubs learn, the more beneficial it is for them. They're born altricial, which means that they're born very underdeveloped. Their hair is not properly formed yet. Their eyes are closed. For leopards' cubs, they don't normally open their eyes until anywhere between 3 to 11 days. So that's almost 2 weeks. And their muscles haven't properly formed either, which means they're very, very underdeveloped and they're not able to properly move. So as soon as they are ready, around that 6 weeks mark, and they can start to climb trees and they can start to keep up with mom, then it's vital to get exposed to not only the food to get their tummies ready, but it's vital to learn from mum. Do as mum does, and that's of course their safety net. So mum will leave them, but they will also join her. But it takes a while for them to be able to hunt properly. A little cub this size at 9 months old would not be able to take down an impala ram, for example. So it's a process. They're heavily dependent on milk at the start, from the good old milk bar, but then slowly but surely they need to get introduced to meat. It's important when you're a leopard that they get introduced to meat quite quickly. I wonder if Sabi's there as well and we just can't see her. It's very possible. Should we go ahead, Dobby? I think repositioning is required somewhat here. So we're going to go ahead to see if we can see the youngster, and hopefully Mama's here too. Okay. I'm just going to drive really, really slowly. We had a discussion in FC yesterday, and I'm going to share it with you all because I think we should do a poll. It was about the cheetah cubs. Now, don't get me wrong, all cubs, young of any animal, is beautiful. But I think that out of lion, leopard, and cheetah, leopard cubs are the most beautiful. And we argued this. Louise was saying cheetah. Of course, everyone has a different opinion. But should we do a poll, Kirst? Should we see what everyone thinks is the cutest if they had to choose? Leopard, lion, or cheetah? Hello. You got it, Davi? Kirst, are you there? I definitely feel that I may have lost comms. Is she talking, Davi? Okay, I do not have anything. It's obviously because we've repositioned. So shall we do this poll? Davi will translate. Leopard, lion, or cheetah cup? What's the cutest? Okay. Hello. Where are you off to? There, Kirst. I think it's really intermittent because of where we are on Chitwa. I hear you sporadically. But I'm going to go with cheetah. What would you choose, Davi?
Leopard.
I'm going to go with leopard, sorry. I'm going to go with leopard. You also think leopard? Okay. Davi and I on this vehicle think leopard. I know that Louise thinks cheetah. What about you, Kirst? Oh, Kirst is going with cheetah. It's a very difficult choice. Of course, they're all incredibly cute. The boys wandered this way. I think we'll reposition for the girl again and hope that Mom comes. I think I might go around the other side this time. Or what about here? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm going to try and fix my comms. But for now, as I stare at this beautiful sight in front of me, we are going to send you guys back across to Nikki.
So stadig so opry. Net so kyk gou. Sien jy, daar's te veel rooi bokke daar. Daar's 'n rooi bok daar, daar's nog 'n rooi bok daar.
Special treats.
Sorry about that, everybody. Not sure what's going on at Ngala, but never mind. Here we are. We left our buffalo, we carried on our leopard tracks, we can't find them anymore. I'm sorely tempted to leave this area and head down towards the far eastern boundary just to see if Tandi, our favorite leopardess, hasn't crossed over to Djuma. This particular point where I'm standing now is interesting because it is a nexus, if you like. I like that word, nexus. It sounds very fancy. Hukumuri, the male leopard, comes up here and he marks in this area. Tingana does exactly the same thing. Tingana then tends to peel off towards the northeast. Hukumuri peels off towards the northwest, but they meet here. Shidulu, the female, Tandi, the female, and Tlalamba, the female, probably have their three corners here. Tandi down there, Shidulu that way, Tlalamba up that way. So it's quite an interesting spot. Naturally, of course, this particularly interesting spot doesn't have one leopard track on it. Oh, here it is. Female. There you go. There's the female leopard that came past here. Probably marked on that tree. That's not... Sorry, is the antenna getting in the way? Apparently there were two leopards calling. She definitely marked over here because here's her footprint. So she probably stood like this, did the spraying thing, and headed off through here. These leopards, these leopard cats. They are irksome to try and find. Well, at least we know she was here, right? Now, which one that is, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not Tandi, so it could be Tlalamba, or it could be Shidulu. Let's go back to Nikki. I'm not sure what he's got. I assume he's doing pretty much what I'm doing as well, but I think he's got some signal back and some comms. Goodbye.
baboon in here. There's just no signal, I think.
Oh, you're with us. Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know what's happening with Nikki, but you're with us and our Panthera pardus. Now, I say this a lot. I didn't used to love leopards as much as I do now, I must say. I have become rather obsessed with them. And it's a good example of how once you really start to learn about an animal and you start to invest in learning about their ecology, biology, behavior, you start to care about them more. And that's essentially one of the main thoughts behind conservation nowadays. Teach people what they don't know, and it'll help them care about animals. I was a big shark advocate for many, many years, and people are a little bit resistant to wanting to learn about sharks, and I understand why. One, they have a terrible reputation, and two, well, they're not really cute and fluffy like leopards are. And they don't have big cute ears like this one does. But eventually, once you start to get people to realize how important sharks are and how awesome they are, they eventually start to care. And I think that's what's happened to me with leopards. Not that I never cared about them, I just didn't really know that much about them. And after spending so much time the past 1.5 years with these animals, you really, really start to learn how incredible they are. And they are truly incredible against all odds. They survive out here. Daniel, you're 6 years old and you're asking if leopards ever fall out of trees. You know, Daniel, as cubs, yes, they do. Because they're learning. They're learning exactly how to defy gravity, Daniel. Can you imagine hoisting yourself and something else up a tree? I don't think I could do it very well. I could when I was younger, but yes, cubs do fall out of trees, but I've never seen an adult fall out of trees. I imagine it may happen, but I've actually never seen it. But cubs can be clumsy, and yes, they can fall out of trees. But that's the whole point in learning. They've got to practice and practice and practice, and eventually they'll get it right. I've actually witnessed Tingana take several attempts trying to get up, and it's not worked, and then he tries again, and then it's not worked. I have witnessed that, but I've not seen any leopard fall. Okay, I've got the poll results. Are you ready, everyone? The winner of the cutest cub competition. I'm going to say it quietly. .5%. And Hyena's a leopard. She's listening. You're next, don't worry. 39.8% of you said leopard. I shall repeat that for you. Apparently we had a bit of a signal issue. So cheetah came in first at 41.5%. Then next was leopard at 39.8%. And then last was the lion at 18.6%. So thank you everyone who participated in that. It seems like cheetah is the overall winner for the cuteness competition. But it's a tough call. They're all cute. I just think that baby leopards are adorable. Now, what is she staring at? She probably knows her brother's here somewhere. We lost visual of him. I want to chase him around in the car. But I imagine at some point he's going to come here. Is impala alarming? It's difficult to tell these days between alarming and snorting and rutting and threats, but I think it sounds like alarming, so I wonder if Sabui's in the area or her brother's on the move. That's what she's looking at. She can see something that we can. Can you hear that? The impala sees something. There's a leopard. Okay. I'm just going to... I can only see the trunk of this marula tree. As gorgeous as it is, I want to see a leopard. I don't know who it is, but it's going to either be Sabui or her brother, I imagine. Okay, Davi, I didn't see anything. Where did you see the leopard? This one, okay. Aha! I think that's Sabui. The size difference is incredible. Okay, I'm going to position in such a way that we can hopefully see all these leopards. I think she just ran to greet her son, and the daughter is watching in the tree. And that's what the impala will alarm me at. Okay, we've got a view here. Let me just try and figure out where the others went. She's over there, Davi. I think if we just stay here, they're going to naturally gravitate towards this tree. Or that's what I'm hoping for, at least. David, you're asking, do leopards need a den? Yes, when the cubs are very, very young, they have a den. And it's normally in a sort of drainage line or... Oh, they're playing. Sabui and Son are playing up ahead. They're bouncing around. Okay, let me go forward, Davi. Yes, when they're young, the leopards are stashed in a den, very much so, because as I mentioned, they are born weak and altricial, so they need to be kept in a den to be nice and safe. But once they start to get older, they move a lot with mum. I'm going to go up ahead. I can see them playing. And they'll just rest anywhere that's nice and safe. But for those first 6 weeks, they're absolutely stashed in a den. Okay, I just want to be careful here. They're just up ahead. I can see their tails playing. Okay, bear with me. There's the little boy. But I don't see where Mom went. Okay, I just need to be really careful here because the young leopards are very small. And this grass is very, very long. Hello, I see you. I don't know who I'm looking at, but I am looking at spots. Yep, it's Sabui and Son. I can see them just here. This is so incredible. I don't think daughter is caught up yet. Okay, let's go forward, Davi. Okay, as I try and get a better view of everyone here for you, we're going to send you across to Nikki with some baboons.
So we just As we were coming up the one side of the river, we found this troop of baboons, and you see this one sitting in the road with a youngster right next to it. But the light is so beautiful. See, the rest of the troop is coming from the right down to the left. I would say they're probably one of my favorite of the animals to watch in the morning, because they're always up to something. The little ones, if they're not up to a bit of mischief, you always see them moving around, flicking rocks around to see if there's any scorpions, maybe any insects around. Also the way that they groom each other. You can see that one just like walk closer to that one. He might have something stuck behind his leg or maybe on his back. This other one is just making sure that there's no parasites around. Annelie, you asked a really good question. Why do the baboons... Oh, look at that little one up in the tree. It's probably his duty this morning to make sure there's no predators around. But the reason why they have the red bottoms is so whenever the females are ready to mate, that's when the bottoms swell up like that. So whenever they're going to estrus. Just have a look at that little one, how he's wedged himself there, like his tail, using it as a bit of support. You can see some of the other little ones playing at the back. Now, earlier on, there was a youngster that struggled to get up into the tree. So mom was like holding on with the back feet and actually grabbing it behind the ears and pulling it up into the tree. So we're going to try and see if we can get a bit of a closer view of these baboons. But for now, let's head across to Lauren with apparently some playful leopard cubs.
I have Sabi up a tree, and the cubs are just frolicking around. They're warm. I think everyone's going to play here. Davy, I was thinking about just rolling forward, not turning on my engine though. Let's see if... Oh. Okay, that idea didn't work very well. I'm not rolling. There we go, there we go. That's perfect. Okay. I'm just gonna let go of the brake. I can only see two. A blur of spots. Oh, Sabi. Well done, Mama. Sabi is regularly found on Chitwa, also Little Gowrie, and much further south than that. Deanna, age 9, you're asking at what age do leopard cubs leave their mum? It's actually different for males and females, believe it or not. The females reach independence earlier. It's normally 18 months. You will find that mother and daughter separate. And for the boys, sons, they normally tend to stay with mum up to 2 years. So they stay a little bit longer than the females do. And they will reach independence about 2 years of age. Okay, I'm going to need to turn my engine on if I want this car to move. This is so lovely. It's the first time I've ever had a sighting like this. It's incredible. They are going into a bit of a tricky drainage line. Hopefully they rest. Oh, no. No time for rest when you're a cub. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to get down here. But we will try. Okay, Davi, I think we need to try before we completely lose them. Wouldn't it just be lovely if they all sat down to have a family cuddle so we can see them all before they go bounding off? I wonder if that's them leaving the carcass now. It's finished, abandoned. Okay, should we try and go a bit closer and see what's going on over there? I think we're climbing trees. Okay, we're going to have to go down into this drainage line. I don't know how easy it's going to be. It could be a bit of a mission, to be honest with you all. Do you think we can get down here, Davi? He doesn't know. We don't know. We're going to try. Okay, as I try and hopefully not crash the car, we are going to send you back across to Nikki with the baboons.
So what I want to try and do is there's quite a few baboons that are actually surrounded the vehicle. And there's one that's going to come into the road also pretty soon. So myself, we can just focus. Oh, never mind. It's actually running straight towards the tree. But what I'll try and do is I want to be quiet because you might just hear it. It's hard. It's quite far for some of them. But they are picking a lot of berries at the moment. Looks like it is from some of what's a tree called the magic guarri. And you can just hear this crackling sound as they are crunching down on it. So let me just be quiet for a while. Of course, as I just said that, they've all stopped and they've moved further away. So you can't really hear that. If we do hear it again, I'll tell everyone to listen out for it. But have a look at those ones up in the tree, how they're enjoying that early morning sun. You see the one off to the right, left, how he's probably looking for some ticks or fleas. You can see how he's just brushing through his hair to see if there's anything. Even look at this one right in the middle, how he's enjoying that sun, almost like leaning with his shoulder against that branch. Oh, just a nice itch on the elbow there. So what I'm going to try and do is if I move the vehicle a little bit forward. So I'm going to ask that everyone bear with me. There's a few that have just come down. And let's see if we can just get a glimpse. I'm not going to move too far, so just a little bit. Just hold on. Just move slightly forward in the road. Okay. All right, let's stop like that. I don't want to disturb them too much myself, but can you see those ones in the road? I just want to see, because there's one baby that's sitting on mom's back. Oh, just moved. Let's have a look at this one now. Just quickly cleaning around the back leg of this one. Pretty very hard to reach area.
Sean, come in.
You might even hear, like, while we're sitting here, there's a low grunting noise. So I just want to be quiet so you can try and listen to what we're hearing. So it's not a very strong call, but now and then you hear a little grunt as the troop are communicating with one another. see this one's now just lowered his head, and this other one is checking the behind the neck. You can see the one that is being groomed, how he's like positioning him or herself, I'm not too sure. But for now, while we're having a look at these baboons, we'll still give it another minute or so, but I think we'll carry on. For now, let's head across to James.
We've just come past Buffelshoek Waterhole, up on the northeast corner. We're going to do a trawl down the eastern boundary, yet again. No luck so far. Lost Tinganas, or whoever they were, as male leopard tracks just around about where we had those buffalo, and I couldn't find them again. So we've come across this way. We'll see what we can find here. We did see a shikra at the waterhole. For those of you interested in birding, it's a little hawk, about that big, but it flew away. Didn't want to be on camera. That was quite nice. Otherwise, we shall hope for the best. The male leopard came down here as well, towards the waterhole last night. And that's quite interesting. Could have been Tingana. So he's underneath all of the birds and all of the kind of activity from the morning. So he came down relatively early last night. Most likely Tingana, who's then made his way back down. There's a lovely crested barbet. Suhani, I have seen a territorial fight with leopards, but it's often a little bit less impressive than you think it's going to be. Mostly it's just lying down next to each other and growling. I've had wonderful sightings of males lying down next to each other and growling. I've seen a very brief physical interaction, but very brief, and really not much to it. They will try as far as possible to sort their differences out before they actually come to blows. And they do that because they know instinctively that if they do come to blows, they're going to do some serious damage to each other. And that's not because they feel sorry for their opponent, but they know that they will have damage inflicted upon them if they engage physically. And so they normally try and sort it out by growling and hissing and snarling and marking, and one will decide, well, I can't win this fight, and he'll back down. Or eventually, if neither of them back down, they'll have a fight. And then it will be ferocious, and it will result in injury, most likely for at least one of them. But an injury is as good as a death. A severe injury for a leopard is as good as being killed, because they can't hunt. At least a leopard can scavenge to a certain extent. So they can try and scavenge, but they can't scavenge off mates like hyenas and leopards. At least lions and wild dogs can. So Tingana fan, you say I'll be your hero if I find your cat. I just don't think that's going to happen right this morning, because I've left the area where his tracks were. I'm going on to the eastern boundary, but I will try. Let's see, maybe we'll pick him up on the way home. Ooh. There's a robin flying off. We won't try and get him on camera. He'll almost certainly fly away. Check that little water. There's a slender mongoose there, two of them. If you go quickly, Owen. Gone. I think they're both gone. Let's go right. Yeah, they're both gone. Don't like to be seen, those things. Hello, Donkey King Kong. What a name. Donkey King Kong. I remember the little game my brother had called Donkey Kong. Donkey King Kong? No, leopards and lions don't get along at all. They don't like each other. Leopards are terrified of lions. Lions will kill leopards if they can catch them, because they're competition. There's a steenbok. Let's see if we're fast enough to get that. Look at that. Steenbok sighting. Rare. Rare sighting, not rare antelope. Please stop running away. Please. You ninny. Good. Nice to see that. So no, leopards and lions dislike each other with a severe passion. All of the predators are nasty to one another, and we think that's because of competition. They don't like to have competing individuals around them, so that's what they do. Right, we're out on the eastern boundary now. I thought you said it was near Cheetah Cutline, at least near Safari. I'm just chatting to Owen about where they saw the tracks last night. I think it was a long way south of where we are now. JS, I finally found your steenbok. Yes, it's been a long and arduous search, but after long and arduous search, we have managed to find your steenbokken. What a relief. It was very cute. They are very cute. They're great fun, the steenboks, if you can get to see them. Normally they abscond before you can have a decent sighting of them. But we're getting into Tundi territory now. That doesn't mean we're going to see Tundi, of course, though, as the countless hours I've spent driving up and down this road are testament. Alright, let's go back down to Chitwa. I suspect those leopard cats have headed into the same place they did yesterday morning around the same time.
They have headed, I believe, into the same place, into the drainage, especially in this Mahindra. My least favourite car of all cars on the entire world. There's no way we can get down there, but we are going to try and go around. Whatever's left of the kill is still in the tree, so they may return, but of course it's morning time. They've had their dose of caffeine and they're leaping and bouncing and playing and socialising and grooming, so... Oh, all the impala are very alert over here. What do you guys see? Whoa! I think they have seen a leopard. They're all walking away now. I wonder. I imagine we're going to catch up with them. Or I hope we're going to catch up with them. But it's not going to be easy. So bear with us. But we'll keep circling back to the tree as well in case they come there. Claudia, if the carcass remains in the tree and not on the ground, then of course the hyenas cannot get to it, so it will be left for vultures. But it doesn't seem to have attracted that much attention, which I'm really surprised. Normally any open carcass you will find a hyena somewhere. around because they have such sensitive noses. They can pick up on any sense of a carcass or blood or flesh. So I am quite surprised, but if it remains in the tree and it's left there, then vultures will come, or any sort of... Oh, there's a spider web. Hello. Just where is the spider? Davi, I'm gonna let it come for you. Oh no, now I feel bad. There's a spider. Okay, we're gonna rescue it, everyone. Davi's on it. Well done, Davi. There's somewhere down here. We're just chancing our luck and hoping that we're gonna spot these spots. It has been the most beautiful morning. I feel very, very lucky I got to see Sabuian cubs. And look at glorious Chitwa. It's going to be a bit bumpy here. I think what we'll do is go onto the dam wall, admire the dam of course, but also have a look down and see if we can see any activity going on in the drainage line. Vervet rat? I'm not sure I got your name right. What was it? Desert rat. I have never seen this. I get asked this question a lot. I've never seen it. I've never seen evidence of it or videos of it happening. I don't think so. I definitely don't think that's how they get their prey. That would risk a lot of injury to them. They may of course spot something, and as long as they use the trunk of the tree as their runway, then yes, they'll run down and spring, but they don't actually leap out of trees, if that makes sense. I think they would risk a lot of injury that way. But they can run down the trunk and then spring onto the land. Oh look, well spotted, Davi. Monitor lizard. Rock monitor. You are massive. That is a huge lizard, everyone. This is not a water monitor, this is a rock monitor. Very, very cool. Almost looks like a crocodile. It's that big, but it's not. It's a monitor lizard. Using its tongue to taste the air. So just like mammals have that organ of Jacobson in their palate, reptiles do too. They just get air into their mouth in a slightly different manner by using their tongue. So that's why they put it out like that. And all the chemoreceptors in the roof of their mouth will taste the air and send a message to the brain of exactly what's going on around. Wow, that was so cool. I wonder if we'll get another view. We can try. They're very skittish. Okay, Davi, let me know if you get any sort of view. I can only see a ginormous tracker seat. You got it? Oh yeah, I see him now. Of course, it's the time of the reptiles. Now that the sun is up and you can feel the heat, the reptiles will start basking to get their energy for the day. They have to rely on the sun. I'm still scanning around for abandoned spots. I think he's watching us. Look at those scales, those gorgeous scales. Now, along the lines of evolution, reptiles are very closely linked to birds. They came after amphibians. And they've evolved in such a way that they don't rely on water, so they can survive in different environments Jamie, I just mentioned that. It's to taste the air. So just like mammals do the phlegm and grimace that we see them do a lot in order to get air sort of to that organ on the roof of the mouth, it's exactly what the reptiles are doing, snakes as well. It's just to transport air into their mouth, and it goes straight into that organ on the palate, on the roof of their mouth, and that's where the chemoreceptors are. And they will sort of analyze what chemicals are in the air and send a message directly to the brain. That's exactly why it's popping its tongue out like that. It's tasting the air, if you like. Tasting the smells. I love to say that. Okay, we've disappeared again. Andrea, they do live on their own. They can be quite territorial. I can't see. I wonder if we can get another view. Oh, yes, we can. Most body dabby. And they do live on their own. They can be found in pairs when they're mating, but they're actually quite... It's not common to see them mating. I have seen it once on this very damn wall at Chitwa, but it's not a common thing to see. They're normally quite secretive when they mate, but yes, they live on their own. And the females will lay a clutch of eggs, bury them underground, and they hatch when it's warm enough. So it's all based on temperatures. And it's quite a small clutch. There's no maternal care, and there's definitely no paternal care. So they live on their own. I really hope we can catch up with these leopards. I think what I'm going to do now is do a loop around. Just in case they're on the move, we should also be on the move. At least we can try. They could also just be sitting in the drainage, having a little snooze. Okay, I'm going to do my very best here, everyone, to find you the spots. But as I do that, we're going to send you across to Nikki, who I believe is doing exactly what I'm doing.
So we've had a look at the area to see if we can get the cheetah, first the leopard with the youngsters and possibly cheetah. However, we have lost the tracks of those leopards, and I think they might have seen that female lion during the evening, and maybe from there on she's moved them to quite a dense area. So you couldn't see anything further from there on, but we do have some great news though. Or some news, and Rowan and Sean said that they found some lion tracks this morning, and it is the Pride, the Birmingham Pride with those white lions in it. Now they are currently tracking them to see if there's any further signs of them, so we're going to take this road and slowly drive on and see if there's any tracks of these lions coming past this road. If not, then they must be somewhere off to our right. But it is exciting. They said they could hear, as they were driving, they saw some tracks and they could hear lions in the distance. However, they weren't able to see any other tracks or signs of them, so we don't know if they might have done a bit of a loop, did they go into a really dense area and lay down, or could they be on this road that we are driving on at the moment. So we don't know yet. We're just going to have to try our absolute best, carry on here, look out for any tracks or signs, and hopefully be rewarded this morning. So I just want to have a look, because if the Pride, now my biggest thing is I wonder that young sub-adult male, if he would have joined up with the rest of the Pride. So I really want to see if we can find them and have a look, because we haven't seen them, I think, Marcel, what has it now been? Nearly 2 weeks. Yeah, for the last nearly week and a half, 2 weeks, we haven't seen this Pride. So it would be amazing if we can find them. So we're going to slowly progress down this road and just look out, as well as listen out for any signs of them. Indigo girl, I heard you have your fingers crossed for these lions. I agree. I am so excited. As I said, I don't want to jinx it, but we're going to really try absolute best. Marcel is leaning over the side of the vehicle looking out for tracks as well, so I have full confidence that we won't miss anything with him sitting here. And then, of course, Rowan and Sean are really working hard now to try and see if they can find them. So we're going to give them a hand. Oh, I can actually hear them on the radio, so I can hear the guys are both communicating with each other of where they're going to go look. So while we're going to carry on and work together with the two other rangers, let's head across to James, who's also searching.
Yes, I'm searching. I've got some poor news though, in that we did find some Tundi tracks, but they've crossed east. And they are, I think, probably from around, what time we get light this morning? Probably got light, say, 6:15 or 6:20 odd. And that's when the doves would have come down and started foraging, one or two francolins, maybe the antlions would have started moving. And what you see on her tracks, which is quite interesting, is that she's on top of some of the doves, and then some doves have walked over her. So I think it was at first light that she came up this road that I'm on now, and then crossed out into Torchwood, which is east of us. So all I'm doing now is trawling along here, and just seeing if perhaps there isn't a carcass hanging from a tree, which she might be tempted to bring her bebes back to. Not as yet. Nothing. Shadulu fan, definitely sight. Sound is a difficult thing to learn to do with birds unless you've got particularly acute hearing and you're really good at differentiating different sounds. So sight is a far easier way to start as a birder than sound. And also, hearing is one of those things that it's a bit like driving. Very, very few people you'll meet will say, you know, I actually don't hear very well. Some will, but very few. Everybody thinks that they have an extremely sensitive set of ears and an extremely sensitive set of nostrils as well. Except Owen, who has admitted that he cannot smell a thing. I think Owen's the only person I've ever met who's admitted to that. And Louise now, the second person who's ever admitted she can't smell. Yeah, Louise is convinced she hears really well though. She probably does, she might, I don't know. In fact, Louise hears so well, I'm going to drive down here because we'll lose signal. Louise hears so well that last night she was convinced that she'd heard something dying as well. And she gave a demonstration to Kirsten of what the sound it made as it died. And it went as follows. Ah! Couldn't find whatever it was that did that. She says that's exactly how it sounded. Duikers do sound like that when they make that noise. Duikers sound like that when they're murdered. Maybe it was a duiker being murdered. Maybe Tlalamba killed a duiker quite close to camp. We'll probably find it hanging in the tree. They go like this. Are you ready, everybody? I'm going to do it once more. They go... Ah! It's actually a bit more nasal than that. It's more like... Ah! Yeah, that's it. That's what it sounds like. Ah! It's very unpleasant. Let us go across to Lauren now, who's got a member of the Odinata.
Look at this dragonfly. It's watching us. You see it breathing. You see the body moving in and out. Short, fat body. You know it's a dragonfly, not a damselfly. It's just perching. Oh, look at that. Isn't that stunning? I'm going to miss them so much when winter really, really does come in to full swing. They only have 6 legs, as all insects do. And dragonflies and damselflies, and actually butterflies and moths, can only perch. They can only really use their 6 legs that are positioned right at the front of the body to perch onto branches or blades of grass. Oh, it's cleaning. It's grooming time. I love it when they clean their eyes like that. They are huge eyes. I'd love to see as a dragonfly does. 360 degrees. Compound eyes. So your eyes are made up of lots and lots of little lenses. Imagine what your visual capacity would be like. I'm just taking a little listen. We've actually came back into the drainage line to try and see if we can spot anyone looking a bit suspicious, any alarmed antelopes or birds, or monkeys or squirrels. But we spotted this dragonfly. It's so gorgeous. Sensory dynamic than what humans have. Flexible neck also. You see it's moving its neck. Is Kirsten talking? Oh dear, dear, dear. We're back to this problem again. Kirst, try one more time.
Layla would like to know why they're called dragonflies.
Oh, okay, sorry, I've got no comms, but Davi told me, Layla, you're 8 years old and you're asking why are they called dragonflies? Good question, Layla. They're actually very fierce. So, although they don't quite breathe fire, as dragons are said to, what they do when they are young is expel air very, very powerfully through their bottom, and it propels them. So it almost looks like fire coming out of them, but from underwater. They're also ferocious predators. They're very, very scary. If you're another insect and you're a mosquito, you will be absolutely terrified of the dragonflies. Of course, to humans, they're not terrifying. They're stunning. But they are actually very ferocious hunters. They will catch their prey mid-air. And I believe that's where the name dragonfly came from, Layla.
Picky says it's an Alucia widow.
Okay, I'm getting this from Davi. But Picky, you're saying this is an Alucia widow? I hope I've got that correct. It's made its way through 2 different people to get to me, but hopefully that's the correct name. That's the species name, the Latin name. It's stunning.
You Secondly, James.
Thank you, Dobby. He's got on his director's voice. So, as I bumble and hopefully get my comms back, we are going to send you across to James and see what he's up to.
I hope that our signal is going to maintain as we go through here. I doubt that it will. We're going down through the valley of the great Marti, which is the riverbed here. Hoping for elephants or anything else. I think we'll drive up the river. And then maybe we should go and visit old Rybone. See if today she's allowing her cubs to play in the sunlight. Alright, now a much more expansive and possibly impressive riverbed is that of the Timbavati, and Nikki has arrived there now.
So the last tracks that Sean and Rowan had were heading more or less in this direction, so we're slowly carrying on with this riverbed to see if there's any other signs. As of yet, we haven't seen. So, in some way we might be on the outer boundary, and they, from where they are still following the tracks. And so basically, if we don't see any tracks crossing here, we know that these lines could possibly be between where we are now and where they are. But we just haven't seen anything as of yet. There are quite a few hyena tracks in the area, and it might be because of the lions being around that there's quite a few hyenas possibly like lurking around. But while we do that, let's head across to Lauren with the butterfly.
We've just stumbled across another one. It's sitting so close to us that we thought we would give you some gorgeous views of this individual. You can see the segmented body, another feature of insects. And you can get a really, really good view of those huge eyes. You can actually see the reflection in the eye. I'm wondering if I could get closer, Dobby. What do you think?
I mean, we could try.
This one has completely transparent wings. Evolved differently from Lepidoptera, which is your moths and butterflies. Dragonflies and damselflies belong to Odonata. So the wings are slightly different, but they are made from layer and layer of scales. And the colours come from chitin, that protein that's very, very prevalent in the animal kingdom. And the way it's layered actually sort of reflects light differently, and that's how we see different colours. But dragonflies can actually fly up to 30 miles per hour. And that's very fast for, well, relative to its size. It's so small. I really want to try and climb up onto the bonnet and get a closer look. Oh, Davi's saying drive. Okay, this is risky. Very risky. Let's try. It's right here. It's right next to me. Okay, let's do this. We managed. Let's see what incredible close-ups Davi can get for us. Wow, that's incredible. You can see the fine hairs on the body and the legs. You can see the way it's perching, using the 6 legs. It's holding on so delicately to this leaf of the silver cluster leaf. It's a juvenile silver cluster leaf. This is probably my most favourite dragonfly sighting, Davy.
Mine too.
And I've had many. This is so beautiful. They're not always this relaxed. Everyone's very impressed. Yes, wow, well done, Davy. They actually have a success rate of 95% when hunting, believe it or not. 95%, that's very, very high. That's higher than a lion, higher than a leopard. That segmented body, it's not pulsating like the other one was. Off we go. Wow. What an incredible morning this has been. Okay, I really am looking for leopards now, I promise. They are in this drainage somewhere. We're going to loop round back to the kill and just keep circling. And of course, spot all the weird and wonderful things along the way. As in dragonflies and all the gorgeous insects. It's just, this Chitwa drainage is almost impossible, especially in the Mahindra. Okay, this is not a good idea. We're going to turn and go the other way. And my 500-point millions are... Is it Nikki? Oh, okay, I'm almost getting there with my comms. As I do my Austin Powers style turn here, we're going to send you guys back across to Nikki, still in the riverbed.
So earlier on, there was a track of one line that we saw heading in the direction that we are coming from. However, we haven't seen the rest of the pride, and what could have happened is that maybe the pride could have split up, or it could be that young Sabadell male that has moved away, but the tracks didn't look too fresh. It might have been a day or two old, so that's why I'm not too confident in trying to look for those or for that particular line. I'd rather let us focus to try and see if we can get the rest of the pride. Now we are slowly carrying on. You'll see we're driving at a slow-ish pace to make sure we don't miss any tracks, but we haven't heard anything yet. Sharon and Rowan still hard looking for these lines. Now, with those baboons we saw earlier, sometimes if they're up in the tree and they spot the lines from a distance, they can go, they give this loud bark to warn whatever other animals nearby. Also, there's quite a few kudus along the riverbank that would often as well bark to tell us, okay, there's some lines in the area. However, as we were driving, I haven't seen any of those around. And that could be a sign that they might have been in the area. And because of this morning, they might have called, and so all the animals in the area might have moved away. Because I haven't seen any impala or any kudu as we were making our way along this river. So it might be a good sign to us that they could be in the area. Now, as we were mentioning earlier, I remember I was telling a story about why I enjoy tracking so much, because tracking sometimes is a really amazing technique in order to understand animal behavior. Because sometimes you'll see an animal, it moves off, but then from there on you don't take too much from that. However, when you track them, you almost have to start thinking like, okay, if I was a lion, where would I move and why would I move there? And so as you are following the tracks, you start interpreting, okay, maybe the reason why they're moving in this direction, there's water, or maybe they might be looking for a hunting opportunity, and by doing that, you're slowly starting to understand the animal behavior. And as you start to put the pieces together one by one, eventually you find these lines, and that's the exciting part of it. So we haven't seen anything. I'm carefully scanning amongst the reeds to see if they might have gone and laid down in a bit of shade, because it is slowly starting to warm up, but still nice and cool this morning, so they could be moving. So we're going to carry on, but I heard some exciting news that Lauren found those leopards again, and they're at the kill, so let's get across to her.
Oh, I'm live. Not doing too well with the comms today, are we? But we are doing well with animals, at least. I could not be any happier to spend time with these little ones who, well, one of them, with the little girl here, has came back to the, well, impala rug, shall we say? I don't think we can call it anything else. Can't see any signs of little brother or mom, but the girl's here. She must be a hungry little monkey this morning. Daniel from Cape Town, you are asking how high do leopards climb in trees? Davi's going to give you a beautiful view here of how high this little girl is. But really, there's no limit, I guess. Trees only do grow a certain height. And I've seen leopards go right up to the top of marulas, especially if they're threatened. One time we had a male leopard called Hosanna in, I think it was a jackalberry, actually, which do grow very, very tall. And the pride of lions in Kahumas were after whatever he had in the tree. So they also ran up the tree. Lions can climb trees. They're just not as graceful or as elegant as the leopards are, and they don't hoist. So Hosanna, of course, ran even higher. And he was at the top of the tree on the most stable branch that he could find, as the lions were below. So leopards can go to the tops of trees as long as it's stable enough. Like a marula's your perfect example. Oh, very exciting. James has made his way to Ribbon's den, and there's 4 hyenas.
We have, and there are a whole lot of hyenas here. There were a whole lot of hyenas here. Let me move again. Quite absolutely uncanny how as soon as they hear they're going live, they all wander around and start becoming recalcitrant. They were eating something just in here. There's the whole bang shoot of them. Whoops. Oh, now someone's being chased off to the left and around to the right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hyenas here at least. There. This is what was stuck in the... That's what was stuck in the middle of the den yesterday, wasn't it? Goodness gracious, this is magnificent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is most of the clan. And we're assuming there, of course, that there are another 2 down in the den. Beautiful. One of the meat's just straight behind us there. Let me move again. Looks like an impala. Well, it looks like what was an impala. Oh, we're all running now after the one that's carrying the meat. One's picked up a horn. Yes, critter freak, absolutely. Hyenas are plenty. Plenty of hyenas. It's quite fun, really. It's often that we have this number of the clan all together. That's a bit macabre. Now lying right next to us, so we can't see the eating. hear the crunching noise. I believe there's a bit of noise on the vehicle there. Sorry about that. Owen just had to turn around 360 degrees, and as he's unable to levitate, there was a bit of noise. So everyone's got a bit of impala there. Trying to figure out who's who right now. Yeah, Prashant, the smell is not too bad. It's hyena-ish, which is not delicious, but it's not awful. It could be a lot worse. Sharing is not caring in the hyena world. I think that's June with the floppy ear over there. June is now eyeing my foot, and I think it's June. He's now decided that my foot is not a good meal, which is a pleasure. Pleased about that.
One's gone up here with the rest of it.
Yes, somebody's gone off up there with the rest of it, which is quite interesting. Here we go, another one coming back. Now watch her body language. Obviously a subdominant hyena or subordinate hyena. So Chris Rogue has identified Swazi and Tima and Ndebele straight off, and obviously that one at the back there is a low ranker. Moved off immediately as soon as June walked towards her, or him. Yeah, there's a bit of a gedunta going on down there. Shall we quickly drive a little bit further down? The skull is being devoured behind us. A bit of sort of meaty skin is over here somewhere. Many of you hoping to see Corky, the ex-matriarch. Right, so I think they've taken it off down there. Now that's towards Treehouse Waterhole. And this one now doesn't know what to do. Sunday's becoming slightly overwhelming. Would really rather be still in bed, having a croissant, some coffee. Weekend broadsheets. Oh, there's another one running away behind us with a little bit of something in its mouth. Let's pop down this way. A quick look down here. The only reason I want to go down here is that I just want to check at this mound and make sure that there isn't another secondary den. But I think that these guys are probably just going to have a drink. At the water, maybe a little bath. Off she goes. Okay, let's go back to the den site. Ah yes, Matthew, they could well be doing that, going off to make impala soup at the waterhole. Alright, let's go back to the leopards while we figure out what's going on here.
The little boy, it was the little boy who was up the tree. Now he came down and he was chewing on something on the ground. I imagine some part of the impala has fallen. And now he's just sitting in the long grass. I still haven't seen any signs of the other two, but I imagine they will be around. I just don't know where. I think he wants to go back up the tree. Come on, boy. You're so handsome. Oh, no. He may lead us to the others. Just give him a bit of space and then we'll follow. Can you still see him, Davy? No, neither can I. Okay. I think we might go along the way. That's reverse. Lord. Car does not go forward in reverse. Now the problem with winter, I want to tell you the problem, is you put on so many layers that by now I'm far too hot and I'm going to complain that it's hot. So as I try to find my little boy, we're going to send you back across to James and his spots.
Where's that one, Owen? Can you see it? Let's just move around. That here, let's come straight back to the front here. We're with the one with the skull now. And what's interesting is that another hyena went to the entrance of the den and then stuck its head down in there and then walked off. So I came back towards the den. Ribbon is not here. So the mother of the cubs inside the den is not here. Here comes this one from behind. So it's done a little full circle of the den. Sniffing around. They're all quite full. Wouldn't surprise me greatly if they'd managed to kill this thing on their own, because like I said and like we've been discussing, these male impalas are pretty useless at this time of the year with regard to security. But maybe there's a leopard who's lost out somewhere close by. Anushka, we know who the hyenas are because we've been following them for a long time, same as we know who the leopards are. And some of our viewers are real hyena experts and have made an enormous effort to learn how to identify them from just their spot patterns, basically. All the spots are different, and their colours and their ear markings and that sort of thing. I'm utterly useless at it. But many know all the individuals in the clan. Not sure who this is. I think it's probably Swazi, but I could be wrong. Lovely pale-coloured hyena. So just supping on the last bits of calcium to be derived from the carcass. Yum, yum. And really, only a hyena is going to get nutrition out of that. Ooh, there goes the palate. That is amazing. I wonder if there's a bit of brain left in there. Maybe. Delicious. Brain for breakfast. So just eating the tiniest bits of skull away from around the horns. Maybe even try and bite a horn off. The power of these jaws is quite something. Now the teeth would normally come out whole. I've seen many teeth in carnivore scat. I don't think a hyena would be able to digest them. But if she can somehow get her jaw around the palate to crack it, she'll swallow the teeth. Sorry, I think it's a he. Hello, Mitch in Plettenberg Bay, wondering how powerful a hyena's jaws are. I forget the bite force, naturally, but they're very powerful. They're probably only topped by the crocodile in this part of the world. I think they have the most powerful bite of any of the carnivores that we have here, other than the crocodile. There we go. Obviously likes a little bit of company, seeking out some friends with the impala horn. No? Or some shade. Very pale hyena, this. So this is Swazi, indeed. Thank you for those of you who have confirmed. Fascinating. Though, but parts and pieces that he wants. Back to Lauren and the leopards. I'm probably going to head out of here. I just want to have one last check around the pans near camp to see what went around.
We've got Sabui and daughter. This is so confusing. Every direction we turn in, we found a different member. I'm pretty sure this is the daughter because we just followed the sun into the drainage. But there is another body there. You can see two tufts. And this is mum. This is Sabui. Hello, girl. We really don't get to see this leopardess a lot. She herself was born in 2013, I believe, right at the end of 2013 in December. So that would, of course, almost make her 7. 6.5. So she's very much in her prime. Territorial female. Her territory used to border on to Djuma at the south, around sort of Treehouse area, Twin Dams area. That's where it sort of used to clash with Tansi. But she's not been reported having been on Djuma in a very long time. And I don't know if there's been a territorial shift. Of course, it's very fluid, it's very dynamic. She's been invested for the past 9 months in looking after 2 offspring. Or whether she does just pop into Djuma and we never see her. That's also possible. So they're all just hanging around this area. They were not too far away from the kill. We did a big circle and we found them resting in the shade. As I already complained, it's very hot. Joy in Hong Kong, lovely to hear from you. You're saying Sabui has perfect ears. They're completely untouched, aren't they? She's stunning. She's bigger than Tlalamba, but she's still a very petite female. She's gorgeous. It's got a 2-2 spot pattern. Okay, let me just see where she's going to go. She's heading straight into that drainage line where our sun went, I think. They're not making it easy for us, are they? Okay. Okay, I'm going to try and keep up with them as much as I can, and it appears James has came across some very thirsty hyenas.
So they've come down towards the waterhole now, and they're having a bit of a drink, or certainly one of them is, and they're not alone here. For the first time in a long time, I've seen a buffalo bull here. Now, I've seen a bull's tracks all over here for weeks now. I'm sure it's the same guy. He was just standing in the water relieving himself, which is what they do. And now the hyena is going to probably do the same while having an enjoyable swim. It's quite cute, isn't it? The other one's walked off down towards the south. I think young Swazi trying to figure out the best way to get across there without having to swim. Let me just move forward. This could be quite fun, actually. Because young Swazi is going to come across that buffalo. Where are your friends? Should pop out from there any second. There we are. Careful the buffalo. Come speeding. There we go. I'm pretty sure that what happened there was that the buffalo said, "What are you doing here?" That was very cool. Nothing out here will tangle with the buffalo if it cannot help it. Oh, here she comes back again. No, JS, you're not. Well, if you've got a permit, you can. You can take horns out of the reserve. Not rhino horns, but certainly if you find the skull of an impala, you can apply for a permit to take it out. But we don't do that. We would just leave them where they were. There's the buffalo, moving to the left, just gone into another thicket. Hyena now back in the water at the end of the dam. I just don't know. Well, in fact, I think I probably do know. A number of you wondering why it is that they stick their whole noses under the water. I think that you'll find that they do that because it's easier to drink. So it's inefficient for a cat or dog to drink with this lapping motion. And you'll find cats do it much more than dogs even. Dogs, you'll find them biting at the water. And hyenas will put their whole faces in to drink. There we go. Now we've found the trail of our friends. I think you're going the wrong way, chum. I think they went to the south. That was absolutely fascinating and relatively amusing at the same time. On we go. Oh no, back again. And away. No, I think he's going to run. He's picked up the trail of the others. The others have headed off down towards the south. Might be worth us just doing a little boundary patrol here. See if we don't come up with something. No, she's still there. Why do I keep saying she? I'm pretty sure he's a he. Headed off down there now. Yep, coming back the way. Right next to us. He's really giving Owen the run around. Alright, let's go and do a patrol of the boundary here. We're quite close to the southern boundary. And now, while we do that, we're going to enrich ourselves immeasurably with Marcel's fact of the day. Oh.
All right, so it's that time of the morning. But before we get to Marcel's fact of the day, just to give everyone an idea, so we went into the area for the lions. We gave it a good search. Sean and Rowan are still on the tracks, and hopefully we're rewarded with some news a bit later. But I think we are running a bit of time. But this afternoon we're going to carry on with our lion search. But for now, over to Marcel.
Thanks, Nicky. Today I'll share a sporting fact. Jack Newton is an Australian golfer, ex-professional, and in 1975 he came second in the Open Championship, and in 1980 he came second in the Masters tournament. In 1983, on the 24th of July, he unfortunately suffered a career-ending accident when a Cessna propeller removed his arm. It also damaged quite a bit of the rest of his eye, I believe, and he almost passed away. And someone that I know should enjoy this fact is a friend of mine, Russell Dawson. It's also his 47th birthday. Happy birthday, Russ, and I hope you have a lacquer day with Claire, Rose and May, and enjoy the rusks.
Thank you. All right, on that note, we are going to carry on with this road. Thank you so much, Marcel. We're going to carry on with this road and see if there's maybe any other signs of these lions in this area. So we are, as I was mentioning, so we are still looking out for the tracks. It's never over until we switch off the vehicle at the lodge. But until that time, there's always a chance. So we're going to carry on. For now, let's head across to Lauren with his leopards.
I'm still sitting here with the little girl. This is obviously my first time meeting them both, as I mentioned. And from what I can sort of gather, she's a lot more relaxed than the male is. He seems to get startled easy, even just around the vehicles, which I imagine would change through the process of habituation. But she seems really relaxed. She's just so gorgeous. My heart is melting. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Panthera results have not got, well, they've not managed to get any scat from these cubs, and the father is still unknown. Because, of course, Panthera work hard at the paternity test using leopard scat. They obviously know who the mother is, and they can try and identify who the father of the cubs is. I wonder. I could actually smell fresh scat earlier. I just can't see it. It's so difficult. The grass is just too long to figure out where the poop is. Lisa, they are just so beautiful. What a lucky, lucky find. They're stunning. And Sabu's done well to raise two. For a leopard, you don't have the protection of your pride. You don't have other females to allo suckle or allo groom or just generally protect or keep an eye out. You don't have that. You're completely on your own, relying on stealth and camouflage. Okay, this is definitely not the best view, but she's moving, so I don't want to turn on the car just yet. You see how she completely disappears in the grass? Going, gone. I would never know there was a leopard here if I was driving. And that's how you have to be really careful in summer. Just drive so cautiously and so slowly, because actually there could be a leopard resting in the long grass. Linda, I think for leopards, generally speaking, no. The females are promiscuous and they do mate with multiple males to confuse the paternity. But as far as I know, normally it's the first male that they mate with. Science is looking into that. That is the successful one, and becomes the father. So they will mate with many different males, but I think leopard litters are normally just sired by one male. Okay, this is a 5 out of 5 view here. Do you think we should move, Davy? She's buried deep, yeah. Okay, I think we're going to stay very patient and hope that others come around for snuggles. And as I wait in the sun, we're going to send you guys back across to Nikki with some buffalo.
We just found this buffalo bull, and you'll notice the area that he's moved in, there's quite a lot of tall green grass right next to him, so there's a bit of water there. Now with it warming up, I wonder if this bull's going to go and like roll down in the mud, or even go and lay down in the water. Oh, there's a bit of water and a bit of mud on the side, so let's see what he's up to. But he has moved from, there's a little ridge just off to the right, and he's moved from there into this section, and I think I wouldn't be amazed with him being an old bull as well. So he's one of the bulls that have probably been kicked away by the rest of the herd. So his teeth are probably fairly worn down. So for him, going into an area where there's a lot of water means that the food might be a lot lusher and not as hard to digest. So that's also another reason why he could have come down. But I wouldn't be amazed if he just decides to go and lay down. Oh, look. There we go. So often with buffalo bulls, whenever they have been feeding for quite a bit of the morning, they'll go and find a nice cool spot. If there's a bit of mud, they'll cover themselves with mud. It acts as a bit of sunscreen. And Paul, I do agree with you. He has a magnificent boss, or beautiful horns. And so whenever they move into the water like this, they'll lay down and they'll bring up all the food that they ate during the morning. They'll start chewing it. But look at how well he blends in. I mean, he is dark in shape, but look at his horns are very similar color to the grass around. The only bits that really stand out is a bit of light that catches the end of the horn. You can see it has a bit of a shiny appearance. Now, we are sitting on a vehicle with a bit of an angle, but if you had to be on foot, you won't see this buffalo laying down in this tall grass. Until, of course, if you give him a surprise or if he stands up. But it is amazing how such a big animal can easily disappear, especially in the tall grass. But what I want to do is it looks like there might be a slight opening if we move forward. I'm going to just move slightly forward, take me 5 or 6 seconds, and then we'll be able to possibly get a better view. If not, we'll always come back to where we are now. There we go. Marcel, would you be able, is that all right? Yeah. So you'll notice there is a bit of water that he's gone and laid down. It looks more muddy than anything else. He might have even had a drink in the river before he came up here and decided to come and lay down. But this is where he'll spend most of his day. I can just imagine with an old buffalo bull like this, he'll probably ruminate or bring up all the food, chew it, swallow it again, roll down in the mud, and eventually, later on as it warms up, he might just move into closer to the river in a really dense area to get out of the heat of the day. And eventually, later on, he might come back, but they are very water dependent. Sometimes, even with a herd, you'll find them having to go down to a waterhole at least twice a day to go and drink. So often around the rivers, it's a good place to be looking out for buffalo. So while we're sitting here and waiting, we're also listening out to hear if there's anything else. But it is a very quiet morning. For now, we're going to leave him be and carry on with our drive. But let's head across to James for an update.
You know, there were times at Ngala when I used to drive out the main camp, because the tented camp actually didn't exist when I started there. And I can remember taking guests on a drive for 40 minutes once, only for 4 hours once, where we saw one duiker and one impala. So I think that those guys at Ngala over the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks have done an utterly spectacular job of finding us amazing things. So I'm not that sympathetic to poor old Nicky this morning. He's had his buffalo, he's had an owl, he's had lots of lovely scenery. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. It can be very quiet sometimes on all reserves, doesn't matter where you are. I'm going to do one last quick turn past the pan where Louise heard the sound and see if there isn't something there. And then we shall return home for coffee, or I will have Owen doing the same thing as the dying duiker. I believe some of you were complaining because I did not warn you before I did that noise, and some of you are wearing earphones and it apparently hurt your ears. I'm very sorry about that. I can't warn you every time I make a noise though, because then it wouldn't give you a fright. Lots of impalas here on our clearings outside camp, all of them looking very relaxed, very happy. There's also a large herd of wildebeest here, there they are, also looking very relaxed, very happy. Look what they're having for Sunday brunch. Have a quick look at them. There they are. The herd. This is how they refer to things in East Africa when you're trying to find the main body of the migration. Where is the herd? Which is of course ridiculous because there are hundreds of herds going in all sorts of different directions. There's an impala now going to harass some ladies. Very nice. It's lovely and peaceful, isn't it? We were asked what the bite force of a hyena is. I looked it up. Isn't that amazing of me? 1,100 pounds per square inch. Now, I mean, I don't know what that is in metric terms. I feel like we really should be doing kilograms per square meter, or whatever the metric equivalent is. Anyway, 1,100 pounds per square inch. Let's go back to Lauren for the last few minutes of the show. I'll have a quick look behind the camp.
We're still sitting here with this little female cub. Impalas are alarming off in the distance, so I think either Sabui or the sun is wandering around somewhere, but I can't see anyone. I can only hear the impalas, and I think they've stopped now. They must be very upset that there's not 1 or 2, but 3 leopards around. Oh, to be an impala right now. And the reason I mentioned we don't know who the father is, Sabi's territory could actually give her access to many different males. Quarantine is actually a possibility. His territory runs right down into Chitwa. Mulwati, definitely a possibility. I think Sabui comes under his territory now. Most dominant males encompass different females within their own territory. But Sabui's territory extends far, far, far further down south towards Mala Mala, even Londolozi. So she would have access to many different males. So it's impossible for us to actually say who the father could be. That's why we do need to do the scat analysis in order to get a DNA test. Tingana, I'm not sure is a possibility. He could be in the respect that females are known to leave their territory, to go out with their territorial boundaries, extraterritorial, and seek a male. It is possible for females to do that. They do it regularly when they're in estrus. So possible she could have encountered Tingana, but I think Mulwati is the perfect guess for this area. And I'm not entirely sure what males she would encounter the further south she goes. It'd be so interesting to find out. We'll need to make sure we collect the scat if we do find any, or see these little ones doing a poo. What a morning it's been. Not only is the sun shining, but I managed to see, well, have my first proper sighting with leopard cubs, and it happens to be Sabui's, 1 boy and 1 girl. So I am absolutely over the moon. I'm not sure that they'll be here this afternoon, but whoever's out this afternoon must come and check. The carcass is still hanging, but unfortunately it doesn't look like there's much left of it. So thank you everyone for jumping on board. It has came to that time of the morning where unfortunately we must wrap up and say goodbye. But from us here at Djuma, and of course and beyond in Gala, thank you for all your comments and questions, and we will see you this afternoon.